How the Igbos came out of the war of genocide to be the richest tribe in Nigeria. Yeah, although you cannot say an Igbo man is the richest man in Nigeria, but we are talking about majority of rich people. Igbos are the richest tribe in Nigeria. So we are looking at how the Igbos came out of the war that looks like a war of, as some people say, war of genocide and burial grounds, with nothing to emerge the richest tribe in Nigeria. Between 1966 and 1970, the Igbos of Nigeria, if you will, were at the receiving end of one of the most heinous man's inhumanity to man in human history. Apart from Hitler's Second World War of 1939 to 1945, it is said that no war has claimed as much casualty as the Biafra Civil War, Nigeria Biafra Civil War, if you will, since the history of man. The war that was estimated to have claimed about 5 million lives had the Igbos as recipients of more than 80% of the casualty figure. Wars had been fought before and after the Nigeria Biafra Civil War, both locally and internationally. But why the Biafra War will continue to dominate discourse is that the manner which the war was prosecuted and the policies initiated by the Nigerian state during and after the war to keep the Igbos perpetually defeated and never to rise again to challenge or assert their right, and how the Igbos refused to be crushed. Rather, they bounced back with pomp and pageantry to become the envy of their supposed conquerors. The war was waged at all fronts with an evil intent to annihilate and subjugate the Igbos to nothing. While Yakubu Gowon, a Northern Army General, Middle Belt, some people call it today, while he was leading the onslaught with the most sophisticated lethal military hardware from Soviet Russia and Great Britain from the front, Awolowo, a leader of the Yorubas from the southwest and a federal minister of finance and vice chairman of Federal Executive Military Council, was using hunger through his economic blockade as weapon to finish off whatever that is remaining of the Igbos that could not die by the bombs and bullets. Awolowo, at the behest of his principal, Gowon, introduced economic blockade against the Igbos and justified it as a veritable instrument of warfare. After 3 years of resistance, 3 years of death, 3 years of death too, 3 years of patriarchal scenery, 3 years of mixture of joy of freedom from oppression and unprovoked mayhem by strange people, and pang of hunger and a wide-scale death, the Igbos could not stomach to carry on the war of freedom, and they yielded. Their leader, General Ojukwu, left the scene, having exhausted all resources available at his disposal, both human and material. The war was over, at least from the point of shooting and killing by soldiers, as the economic aspect of the war, led by Awolowo in that aspect, aimed at crippling the Igbos' entrepreneurial domineering spirit, still continued till today. The economic war has been more like a baton in a relay race, in which one administration hands over the baton of harsh economic measures against the Igbos to another administration, whether it is a civilian or military, to continue the state policies of exclusion and divide and rule. As much as many people have tried to justify the pogrom against the Igbos, that resulted to the war as a reaction to the Nzogwu's coup that claimed the lives of Sadwana of Sokoto, Tafawa Balewa, Akintola, and many more, and ended the Balewa Azikiwe regime. But the truth remains that the war was born out of envy aimed at crushing the Igbos and relegate them to the background of the activities in Nigeria, where they will only be taking orders and not issuing. Gowon admitted this in an interview in January 2020 that the fear of domination is what caused the war. At the beginning of the war, Awolowo, being the Federal Minister of Finance, changed the country's currency. This change of currency was targeted to frustrate the Igbos from using the little money at their disposal to access forests for either weapon or food from international community. In an interview after the war, Ojukwu admitted that two things that defeated Biafra during the war. One was the currency change. The other was hunger, occasioned by the draconian economic blockade imposed on the East by Gowon and Awolowo. At the end of the war in 1970, Awolowo announced that every Igbo man with identifiable account deposit in any Nigerian bank prior to the outbreak of the hostility would be issued £20 in exchange of whatever amount they had in their accounts prior to the war. This simply implies that the Igbos came out of the war to be integrated into Nigeria with nothing to compete with. But they carried on with resilience that saw them through the war era. By 1972, Yakubu Gowon and Awolowo initiated and carried out a national indigenization policy. This was a program in which foreign companies operating in Nigeria were mandated through the policy of the state to sell certain percentages of their company's worth to Nigerians. Recall, the Igbos just came out of the war 2 years earlier and had no means to participate in the indigenization program. The Northerners, especially the Hausa Fulani stock, due to their deficiency in education and conservative mindset, could not participate in the program as much. Awolowo rallied every Yoruba man to key into the program. The campaign was massive in the West. They were sensitized in churches, mosques, and marketplaces. They had the means, and their leader was the initiator and the head of the indigenization program. This is how the Yoruba bought 80% of corporate organizations in Nigeria meant for all Nigerians. There was a law in the 1970s, 1980s, and early 2000s that there are two powers in Nigeria: the political power and economic powers, and that while the Hausa Fulani controls the political power, the Yoruba controls the economic power. By implications, the Igbo controls nothing. The Igbos, however, carried on with the struggle of survival. They were in every hamlet, in all rural villages in Nigeria, scavenging for survival in the farm, market, cottage industry, and any field humans can find existence possible. Those of them with enough fun traveled abroad to continue the struggle of survival. Going back to school was not practically possible since the survival is the first law of nature. The East Central State had the least number of children in school. There was a massive, unplanned, unsolicited, unprecedented mentorship program in Igbo land, then tagged Onyagala Nwanneya, which translates "let no one leave his brother behind." As the name implies, they developed love for themselves and became more united. They would mentor themselves on different lines of business and trades. Those of them that were well established would go to the villages in Igbo land, negotiate with parents and guidance of unemployed youths and out of school children to groom and mentor them for a specified number of years, usually 6 to 7 years. at the end of which they established them to start their own. Those apprentices of 1970s are the Obas, Ibetos, Innocents, and many more captains of the industry in Igbo land today. This is the secret of how the Igbos regained their number one position and dominated every sector of business, trade, industry, and transportation in Nigeria till date. Fast forward to 2008, the global economic meltdown came and badly affected the macroeconomy of the world, such that many corporations went bankrupt. Those that survived could not pay their shareholders the mouth-watering dividends they used to. This is how the Yorubas lost their grip on the economic power. The global economy power pendulum swings to the microsector that is dominated by the Igbos in Nigeria, the Chinese and the Americans at the global stage. From 2008 and 2020, the Igbos have staged a dramatic comeback to be a race of firsts in every sector. The education they couldn't acquire in the 70s, their children are setting the pace now. From 2008 to date, the Southeast have the highest number of children in primary and post-primary school level, the highest number of university applicants, and highest number of graduates. In 2002, Audu Ogbe, the then national chairman of PDP, in a lecture to the Northern Elders Forum, in highlighting the pace the Igbos have set in education and why they not need to brace up to bridge the gap or be slaves to the more educated Igbos forever, said, the statistics from JAMB, Joint Administration and Matriculation Board office, shows that university applicants from Imo State alone is more than 50% of the applicants of the 19 northern states put together. Just last year, the NYSC Director General said that 55% of Serving Youth Corps members nationwide were from Southeast Zone alone. This is an eloquent testimony that education is expensive and only the rich can afford it. Onitsha in Anambra State has the highest concentration of high-rise buildings in Nigeria. Nnewi is a town built from the scratch into an industrial hub by her indigenes without any government's fund. Today, Nnewi boasts of big industrial concerns as Chikasin Group, Obuawa, Ibeto Group of Companies, Innocent, Coast Charis Group, Cotis Electrical, and many more, too numerous to mention. According to Forbes magazine, Anambra State has the highest number of millionaires in Nigeria, and Southeast has the least poverty rate in the country. Today, Igbo land is the most evenly developed in Nigeria of all lands. And this is individual development we are talking about. We're not talking about government inputs. Viewers, what do you think about material? Add your comment on the comment section. Please share this video widely. Also subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Click on the bell icon to get our updates anytime it drops. Azuka OJ says bye for now.